Okay, sounds good. You are each going to be making a color wheel. The color wheel is basically the spectrum of color, kind of like a rainbow, that we can see bent into a circle. The important thing about a color wheel is that it's always going to be in the same order. The colors are always going to be in the same order. That order never changes. So what we need to do to make ours is to set up the circles and also the right number of sections for our colors. What we're looking for here, we want to have our three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. You can think of them as prime numbers. You can't mix any other two colors to get them. We also need spaces for the secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. Those are made by mixing two primaries together. Red and blue make violet, blue and yellow make green, yellow and red make orange. In between the primary and the secondary, there is another color that is a combination. That is called a tertiary color. You can think of it as the hyphenated colors. This one is orange-yellow, that one's yellow-green, that one's violet-red. They have a little bit of both in them. You can use the regular paint colors for your primaries and your secondaries. You will be mixing the tertiaries. Here's how to set this up. On a plain white piece of paper, you will need a compass, a ruler, and a pencil. We're going to start by making a dot right in the middle. You don't need to measure, just guesstimate. Make sure you make the dot big enough so that you can see it because you're going to use it for the whole thing. Then, to put the pencil in the compass, you open this little part up, put the pencil in through the top, and click that closed. You want the pencil and the point to be about even with each other. Okay? Then there's a trick to working with the compass. When I see people trying to hold it from the top, it seems like you should be able to because there's a handle, and turning it, it's very awkward and it doesn't work very well. Instead, hold the point the way that you would pick up a pencil. You're going to press that point into the dot that you made. Just make sure that your pencil will fit on the paper. You don't have to measure that. Then you're going to keep your compass hand steady and you're going to turn your paper. See, I'm not moving my hand at all. You're going to get a good circle this way. Okay, that's for your outside circle. Then move the compass a little bit further down. Again, you don't need to measure about that much. You're going to make your second ring. You're going to need 3 rings that'll look kind of like a bullseye. Okay, there's one. Here's the middle ring. So far, so good. And we need one. Once you have your smallest circle made, then you're going to take your pencil out of the compass, and we're going to get ready to draw our lines to divide this up into 12 pieces. So first thing you will do, get your ruler, balance it on that center dot again, and draw a line going all the way through your circle. Then get your ruler going perpendicular to that. Doesn't need to be exact, but you can check if the lines of your ruler line up with the line that you just made. It's perpendicular. Draw that line. Now I have 4 sections and I need 12. So what I have to do is to divide each section up into thirds. Here's how you do it. And you can estimate. Divide this into thirds. If you need help with this part, let me know. I can help you. Divide this into thirds. You don't need to do the other sides because here's why. Get, again, your ruler lined up with that center dot and the dot you just made. You can draw your line all the way across and you get the same thing on both sides. Then go ahead and do that for all of your lines all the way around. Make sure it goes through that center dot. You don't want it going all over the place. That just keeps things organized. Okay. Here we go. Kind of looks like a spider web. Let's count and make sure we have the right number of squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we're fine. Now we need to get the colors in the correct order around the circle. So you will see that there are some written out copies like this around the room that have the colors in the correct order. You can take one of those to your desk and copy it down in this middle pizza looking thing, put it back up for somebody else to use. You'll also see some of them have all the colors written out like this. You don't need to do that unless you feel like it will help you keep track of them. Okay, so I'm going to start with the R for red, red, orange, 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 yellow, 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 green, green, blue, 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 violet. Violet is purple, it's just the color word for it. Violet and violet red. If you're doing this and you can't fit all of them around, then probably you have the wrong number of sections. Raise your hand and I'll come and help you. Now we're ready to start painting. If we look back at our example, you can see we've got the regular colors themselves in the middle wheel. Here's why we did 3 other ones. The second ring is going to be the color with white added. That's called a tint, when you've got a lighter version of your color. This outer ring is going to be the color with black added. That's called a shade. So you'll be mixing your tertiary colors. You're going to be mixing the tint and the shade for each color. So when you get your paint, don't get all of the colors at once. Just get 2 colors that are next to each other at a time. Also get black and white. You will also need a water cup with water in it and also a paintbrush or 2. So I'm going to start with my green. I'm going to squeeze out the extra water from my paintbrush. Otherwise, your paint is going to run all over the place. And dip just a little bit of your brush into the color and then paint in your green section. If you're having trouble with your paint going all over the place, try a smaller brush. That will help you to control your paint. If you need more paint, get a little bit more. It's better to add a little bit more than to have too much because then it goes all over. Since I have my green here, rather than do all my colors first, I'm going to do my tint next. So I'm going to scoop a little bit of the white, put it in an empty spot, stir a little bit of the green into it. Yours might be a little more green or a little more white. That's okay. I just need to be able to tell that you've added white to it. Your tint is going to go right next to it in the tint area. Fill it in completely. Okay, now we're going to do the shade, but there's a problem. I've got white in my brush. If I mix black in with that with the white in my brush, I'm making gray, and that's called a tone when you add gray to your color. We're not doing that. So I'm going to wash out my brush in the water cup. Again, make sure that I'm squeezing it dry really well. Now I'm going to take some green, put it in an empty spot. I'm going to add a little bit of black to the green, stir it up. If you feel like it didn't make enough difference, add more black. Now, you might have noticed that when I did my tint, I started with the white and added green to it. That's because it would take a whole lot of the white added to the green to change the color. So you always want to add your darker color to your lighter color. In this case, black is darker than the green, so I'm going to start with the green and mix a little bit of the black into the green. Otherwise, you need a whole lot of paint to actually make a difference, and you're going to end up with a big lake on your palette, and it'll be a big waste. So there is my shade of the green. Okay, since I've got my green all ready to go here, I'm going to go ahead and mix up my green and blue. So again, I'm going to wash off the brush really well. Squeeze it dry. Now between green and blue, they're pretty similar, but blue is a little bit darker. So I'm going to take some green, put it in an empty spot, dip my brush into the blue just a little bit and stir it up. And if you feel like you want it to be more on the blue side, if you like more of a bluer blue-green, add a little more blue. It doesn't matter as long as I can tell that it has both colors mixed into it. Okay, once you have that, paint that in your blue-green area, and it should look different from your blue and look different from the green. Fill that area in completely. Now, since you have your green-blue mixed up already, you might as well go ahead and make your tint rather than have to remix it all over. So I'm just going to scoop some of the white. I've already got the blue-green in my brush. I can just stir that together. Stir it up really well to make sure it's not going to look streaky. Kind of scrape off the extra as you go. And then you can do your tint of your blue-green right here. And again, it should look different from the tint of green that you have and the tint of blue. You should be able to tell that you've got both colors. With the rest of the green-blue that I have, I'm going to add a little bit of black to that to get my shade of the green-blue. So I'm going to dip my brush into the black, stir it into my blue-green, kind of scoop it around from the sides, stir it up really well, scrape the extra off, and then paint your shade of blue-green in the last ring. You'll continue going around with your colors, doesn't matter which direction, until you fill all of them in. Neatness doesn't really matter on this one, but it is good practice for the future projects. So if you're having trouble with filling in your spaces, maybe try using a smaller brush. It doesn't matter on the color wheel if there are little gaps like this, but it's good practice to try to control your brush so that it fills in completely. When you are finished for the day, when it's time for cleanup, you are going to put this project on the drying rack that you see by the door. Your paintbrushes, you're going to wash out really thoroughly in the sink, dump out your paint water and rinse it. When you're washing out your palette, don't just stand under the sink with running water. That's going to take forever. What you do is take your brush, hold it under running water, not blasting, just running a little bit. Use your paintbrush to swish out all of the palette wells. It'll get a lot cleaner and it'll go faster. Then when you come in the next day, your color wheel will be back in your storage cabinet. Make sure you get your name and your hour on it so that you can tell yours apart from other people, and then you can pick it up right where you left off. That's the color wheel.